Another player that's going to be moving, Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson waived by the Brooklyn Nets, and now he is basically a free agent, can sign anywhere he wants to. And ESPN is saying that he's expected to sign with the Miami Heat. Cavs were in contention. Cavs were interested in the start of the season to trying to move for Joe Johnson. Hawks were even interested in bringing him back, but it looks like he's going to be on the Miami Heat. Joe Johnson, what does he bring to the table for the Miami Heat?
Well, and before I give my answer, the one thing I want to throw out there is right now it's just sources expect that he's going to sign with the Heat. We just saw in baseball how much sources really know because, I mean, with the whole Dexter Fowler, everyone's saying, oh, he signs with the O's and then he's back with the Cubs. Right now, our understanding is that Joe Johnson will be a member of the Miami Heat. And to me, in the end, do I think this helps the Heat a whole lot? No. However, it just gives them an extra body, an extra shooter to maybe it'll help them against Atlanta if the standings end up being what they are. As of right now, they play Atlanta in the first round. May help them with Atlanta, but in the second round, if they have to go up against the LeBron and the Cavs, I don't think Joe Johnson is the piece to say, yeah, you know what, we can compete with the Cavs now.
The one thing that it does really, I mean, you might lose Chris Bosh because they're still, not sure what it's going to happen with the blood clot situation. So you're not sure what's going to happen with Chris Bosh. So, I mean, you're obviously going to need to bring a shooter in, or you're going to need someone to try to make up for Chris Bosh's scoring because he's currently the leading scorer for the Heat. I think I don't know. I think Joe Johnson's past his prime. I think Joe Johnson's I think the ship sailed on Joe Johnson. I think this is kind of just, old news. It's not going to be anything, significant here. It might help you beat the Hawks. The Hawks are kind of just slow. The Hawks aren't the same Hawks team they were last year. So I would see that they might get past Atlanta, but other than that, I don't see them beating Boston. I don't see them beating Toronto. I don't see them beating Cleveland. But I think the one thing is that he's not going to a contender like the Cavs. He's not going to a contender like Toronto.
Well, and everything could change.
Yeah, I mean, like you said. I mean,
this is just sources.
Yeah, sources did say that. But again, I think that it would be, huge if Cleveland signed him because we kept talking at the trade deadline that the Cavs need to make a move for a scorer, like a six-man that could provide scoring off the bench. I think Joe Johnson would be perfect in that role.
And the only thing they did was basically
Channing Frye.
Get rid of. Well, they got Channing Frye, but basically get rid of Andrew Varejao. And that's all they did.
I mean, I didn't like the Channing Frye move because that's really not going to make you the contender, the person to beat. You're not going to win. You're not going to win a final with Channing Frye being your only move. But this would have been huge here if they went out and got Joe Johnson and add scoring to that bench, make that bench even more deep. Add a different kind of look at the Cleveland bench here. And just yesterday, the Toronto Raptors beat the Cavs 99-97.
Well, I'm looking right now as we are. I know when you guys are listening to this is going to kind of be like past Ricky talking to you guys like it is all the time, basically. But the Heat are playing the Celtics right now, and just looking at their scoring, like it's a spread out attempt. Like 6 from Stoudemire, 5 from Dang, 4 from Winslow right now. Dragic leads the team with 10. Wade only has 3 points. 5 from Whiteside, 6 from Richardson. So, I mean, the thing is, I know like Udrich and Haslam haven't entered the game yet. Right now, they're probably not going to enter the game, let's be honest. But where does Joe Johnson fit in this rotation? If he comes in, does Richardson, who's right now played 8 minutes in this game, does he get the DNP? Or does McRoberts, who's played 7, get the DNP when Joe Johnson comes into play for this Heat team?
Possibly Stoudemire, too. Maybe they keep McRoberts in.
Yeah, I mean, Stoudemire's only got 8 right now. He's in the lineup as we
Maybe
speak.
they throw Whiteside back into the starting lineup. I look at Joe Johnson, and I see that he would have been perfect on the Cavs game because, again, going back to that Raptors game, leading scorer off the bench, Deli. No, I was a stick Deli.
Call him Deli.
But he played 21 minutes.
Hate him.
21 minutes, had 8 points, 2 for 3 for 3. And then their second leading scorer was Richard Jefferson, who went 2 for 2 from 3. If you add Joe Johnson, he's probably going to knock out Jefferson out of that rotation.
You know what's the best comment from LeBron about Joe Johnson?
We know we want him here. He knows we want him.
He knows we want him.
Yeah.
Like, just the plain and simple, he knows I'm the best. he knows we want him.
So I think Joe Johnson would fit perfectly with the Cavs. I think that makes the Cavs, and I'm not saying they're not going to beat the Warriors and Spurs just because they have Joe Johnson, but Joe Johnson could be that player where he comes out of nowhere, and I mean he's kind of like an Andre Iguodala. I mean, less of the player
he's going to have that much of an impact.
I was getting to that, Rick, but he's not as he's older than Iguodala, but kind of similar players in their primes, where the main scorer for their teams, leading their teams to the playoff, but never did anything special. But I think he could be a player kind of like what Paul Pierce was for the Wizards last year, where he hit that game-winning shot. I feel like he can be that veteran presence that can score when you need him to, but not score at a high volume. If he's coming off the bench and playing 10 minutes, 12 minutes for you, I feel like the Cavs, if they Cavs got Joe Johnson, I feel like that would be a perfect move for them. I feel like that just makes them the complete favorite in the East. But, because looking at the Raptors made the Cavs look beatable, and the Raptors kind of gave themselves some legitimacy right there with that win over the Cavs.
Oh, that win was huge for the Cavaliers. And I mean, with Joe Johnson, what you're going to get right now from Joe is scoring. A little bit of scoring, because right now he's averaging about 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, shooting 40.6 from the field, 37.1 from beyond the arc. So you're basically going to get, to me, 12 points a game from Joe. Is he going to grab a few rebounds? Yeah, but he's not going to be a monster on the boards. He's not going to be the guy that moves the rock. He's going to be the spot-up shooter for the Heat to try to give them a little bit more points in games. Is it a huge addition? Probably not, but it may be enough to make sure that, like I said, we are not a done in the first round. Now we are officially a one-and-done team. Or maybe if they get lucky, can move on. Because if I had to pick between the Cavs and the Raptors, the only way they're moving on is if they possibly play the Raptors, although I would still pick the Raptors to move on. They have a better shot.
You're talking about the Cavs.
I'm talking about the Heat. Have a better chance of beating the Raptors in a game of series of 7 than they do the Cavs.
That's obvious.
Do they possibly do they do it? Probably not. The Raptors would still beat the Heat, but it gives them that opportunity in case they overtake Boston, which right now, if they won today, they would be tied for that 3 seed.
Plus, kind of looking at the Miami Heat, adding Joe Johnson kind of makes them the Yankees of the NBA. But not like the powerhouse Yankees. Like you're bringing in all these old players who are way past their prime.
Kind of like the White Sox.
Yeah, more of the Yankees when they made the playoff run. Yeah. With Raul Ibanez leading them. But Dwayne Wade out of his prime, Luol Deng out of his prime, Joe Johnson out of his prime, Chris Bosh still in his prime, but now he's hurt, so you really don't have a scorer there. Amari Stoudemire out of his prime. You do have Justice Winslow, but he's not really adding too much offensive scoring there. And Goran Dragic, I don't think he's going to be leading this team that far alone. But I mean, final thoughts really. I don't think Joe Johnson's going to change the Miami Heat that much, but I think he could.
It's a minor boost at best.
And I think he could have a major impact on a different team. I don't think Miami's the right fit for him. I don't think this makes Miami that much better, but I think it could make a team that much better if they got Joe Johnson. Any final thoughts for you, Ricky?
No, just like I said, a minor boost to a team that are they going to go all the way? Probably not. If Joe Johnson wants a ring, he would sign with Cleveland because I believe he's the third on the player, the players that have the most games without reaching a finals. He's third on that list behind Andre Miller at number 1 and Vince Sanity at number 2.
So current players.
Yeah, current players.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I want Joe Johnson to succeed, but I don't think he's going to succeed in the Eastern Conference, basically. Because if he went to the Warriors, that would have been huge. If he went to the Spurs, that would have been huge. But I don't think he's
if he wants a ring, he would pick the Cavs over the Heat.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to wrap it for us. I mean, Joe Johnson, third most games played without an NBA ring.
Finals appearance.
Yeah, finals appearance. Dave Oster, most appearances in a row until he got sick.
4 or 5 was he at?
4.
He was at 4. This would have been 5. Now it's back down to 0.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Dave's got reset.
Dave's back to 0.
0 days since Dave Oster has shown up at the Fast Break Podcast. Anyways, we're going to wrap it up here. For Ricky Widmer, I am Sean Anderson. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod. Follow me at Twitter at Schwarbo. Follow Ricky at Ricky Widmer. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. Like this video. If you love this video, please share it to your friends because we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers sooner rather than later. And if you're listening to SoundCloud, thank you for the listen. Share this to all of your friends and hit that nice red like button because we love the support. Anyways, we're going to wrap it up here for the Fast Break Podcast. For Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. We will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.